Dhammas and dear Dhamma friends. Now we are going to start a special Dhamma sermon on behalf of the Minnesota Buddhist Vihara. Respectfully, I would like to invite Bhante Dhammajiva to conduct the session.
To start the Dhamma talk, everyone may consent 3 times, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Pancai bhikkave angei anuggahita sammaditthi ceto vimutti palaca hoti ceto vimutti palani sansaca panya vimutti palaca hoti panya vimutti palani sansaca ida bhikkave bhikkhu sammaditthi silanuggahita ca hoti sutanuggahita ca hoti sakaccanuggahita ca hoti samadhi anuggahita ca hoti Vipassana ca hoti. Dear Venerable Sirs, dear Venerable Sister, Dhamma friends, today for this sermon, I thought of taking a particular subject or theme by quoting a particular discourse known as the Anuggahita Sutta, that you find that in the Anguttara Nikaya, that gradual saying, Book of 5. The basic translation of the verse that I have cited as the topic is, the Buddha mentioned when someone is acquainted with the correct view or the middle path or the broader view, he or she has to facilitate that particular correct view in 5 ways, then only that correct view will be mature and then lead up to the final aim, either through the concentration method or by the insight method. So, accepting or taking into grant, every one of us is having the correct view or appreciating the correct view. I thought it will be interesting to know what are the 5 ways that we should facilitate such a hard-earned samadhi or correct view. Because that in order to achieve our final emancipation, the final nibbana, through this concentration-based method or through the insight-based method, each one of us has to know the tactics and the ways and means to make it growing, progressing, right, starting from this correct view and up to this final liberation. Whatever may be the way you scrutinize through this sutta, it indicates if you are already endowed with this correct view, and nothing you need from the external. Everything then onward is within yourself. Or the responsibility is completely upon oneself. That indicates the most important thing, the most important changeover or radical change is understanding of the correct view. If someone is well ahead, well above of this understanding, then the task is easier, but even then you have to take care in terms of facilitating it or supporting it by these 5 methods. So I am not going to talk or going to deal how one can become to the correct view. I take it into grant that every one of us have a fair idea about the importance of the middle path, the correct view, and we know it is most important and preliminary requirements for one to start this meditation path. Starting from that, what I would like to deal today is understanding or dealing or discussing how these 5 stages, how these 5 facilities help facilitate this particular correct view to evolve from the sansaric common being or the putuchana to become a sekapuggala or to become an arya or noble person. The first and foremost is, the Buddha mentioned is, Silanuggahitacha hoti. If someone is already having this correct view, the broad view and non-frictional view, he or she has to take special care towards the moral restrainment. This moral restrainment, each and every religion prescribe according to their own background. According to the Buddhist perspective, the minimum of the virtues for the laity is 5 precepts. And based upon the 5 precepts, according to one's own capacity, one's own appreciation and understanding, you can go up to 8 precepts, 9 precepts, 10 precepts, you can go in detail. And once you become a novice, usually it is starting with 10 precepts, and when you become a higher ordained, it basically go for 27 precepts, and for the bhikkhunis, 318 odd number of precepts. And when they come into subdivisions, it go well over 1,000 numbers. Whatever may be, as far as precepts are concerned, basic things are these 5 precepts. So, even without taking this subject of refining along the line of meditation, the accepting and abiding by these 5 precepts is not religious, it is just humanistic. So therefore, many Buddhists are supposed to abide by these 5 precepts. And but this particular sutta indicates, if you are to refine your correct view, you have to take special care towards this responsibility towards the virtues, or restrainment towards the virtues. So that means when and where you find possible to go for higher precepts or refinements, you must not hesitate. Always try to find ways and means to increase. That is, in Pali we call Sila Sikha should be Adi Sila Sikha, always refining towards the higher restrainment. And if I am to quote some particular suttas from the Sutta Pitaka, that means the basket of these discourses, the Buddha in a number of times have indicated those who are wise will take these moral responsibilities as one's own responsibility. Those who are unwise or ignorant always fight against the moral restrainment. Ultimately what happens is, he himself or herself will fall into troubles. So therefore there's a direct relationship or one-to-one relationship between this moral understanding or moral restrainment and the wisdom. So at the outset, in this particular sutta, indicates this sila sikha, that means restrainment towards the virtues or precepts, administering precepts and taking care about that. when it comes to the commentary level, the commentators giving a the simile or example, it is if you are going to grow a vegetable farm amidst of all the other farmlands, it is very important to have a fence right round. Otherwise, that when the succulent vegetable plants are growing, emerging, germinating, lot of stray animals will take delight of eating of it. So therefore, as if a vegetable farmer take care about the right round fence, the meditator, the person who is practicing, first and foremost thing is to fix the fence. That means moral restraint. In Sri Lanka, we have chaina cultivation. That is the very traditional method. Now it is being fairly banned. What the villagers do is, they go into a fringe of the forest and burn part of it and put a fence right round, and upon the fresh ash they grow all the vegetables, and they go for perennial kind of harvesting. And once that land become barren, again they abandon for the forest to come, and again after once the forest replenished, they will do the same thing. And in that chain cultivation also, fixing a fence is very important. In Sinhala we call dandu atta. All the big logs, they put it in an orderly manner. Even an elephant or any other wild animal never come and intrude, because it appear like a trap. So therefore, naturally your plot is protected. So something like that, one has to take care about the precepts. The yet another modern example given for this is the sila anuggahita, or the restrainment towards this virtues, is something like disinfection of a theater before the operation starts. The theater must be clean, the patient must be clean, the doctor must be clean, attendants must be clean, equipment must be clean. Otherwise, if you are going to do a surgery, I think it is going against the etiquettes of the medical science, and specifically if you are going to do a brain surgery, all the theaters are not qualified. There should have special attention and special measures to make sure there are no incoming of germs. So likewise, whenever we are looking forward toward the advancement of this, the preliminary correct view along the line of meditation, more than anyone, you have to take care about these precepts. That does not indicate that most of the meditation masters raise the question, how much precepts, for how long, all the kind of questions. But there is no such a definition in the literature. But the basic datum line is 5 precepts. For the novices, 10 precepts. For the high ordained bhikkhus, that they are due precepts. So that one has to know. Otherwise, if you are going to do this meditation without this moral responsibilities or impure morality, you are asking for troubles. So that is why, in the first place, it has been mentioned, the sila anuggahita is very important. And once you taken it, that means no one is imposing you. In the other religions, they are known as commandments, but in Buddhism, precepts are precepts. It is, you have to understand, if you are going to take such a high potent meditative techniques, you have to safeguard yourself from the transgressional kind of defilements. The sila, the virtues, restrainment regarding the virtues, is taking care about the transgressional kind of defilement, that is the killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, as far as the bodily activities are concerned, and verbal misdeeds, intoxication, wrong livelihood are the others. So therefore, these things are being well depicted and well defined. And if you are going to read the monastic code, it's a voluminous presentation is there. Not any religion can claim such a detailed historical case histories and systematic coverage of the aspect. So therefore, one has to at least be qualified with, as a layperson, for 5 precepts. And when you go further, only you can make sure that you are not transgressing the civil law, you are not transgressing other psychologies, and you are not make it vulnerable about your future. The basic precepts, even without the meditation, is taking care as far as you are not killing others, as far as you are not misappropriating other properties, as far as you are not doing any sexual misconduct and verbal misdeeds, you are not intruding into other psychologies. And therefore you and the others are safe. Not only that, your present as well as the future is safe. So without knowing, due to your urge or due to your uncontrolled mind or any tension, if you are going to transgress it, definitely at the sila level, at the restraining level, virtues level, you are destroying or disturbing other psychology, and you become vulnerable, present as well as the future. So therefore it is in the humanistic ground or social level or well-being of the other living beings, it's a must. But as far as the meditator is concerned, it is one thing the meditator has to take care. Once that is completed, that means you make a determination not to transgress, not to break these rules. Then the next one is Sutta-anuggahita. That means you must have certain amount of theoretical knowledge, the book knowledge, and according to the time of the Buddha, it is listening. The Buddha is the teacher, all the others are listeners. We call Sravaka. Sravaka means listening. The time of the Buddha, the best method of teaching is preaching and listening. That is what we are doing now. All the other methods came later, all the teaching techniques, but this method is known as noble method. And therefore, the person who knows will preach, others will listen with the respect, and they are also just like precepts. You have to understand how much is the basic threshold value or datum line you have to have before starting this meditation. This is also just like precepts, very difficult to say this is the margin. Beyond that you are qualified, up to that you are not like. This question can be tackled in two ways. If you are under the guidance of a well-known teacher, your knowledge is not much important. But if you have no such a reference point, or if you do not have association with the noble ones or true friends, then your knowledge becomes very important and crucial. So therefore you have to have certain amount of theory knowledge, but in this particular sutta, you have to see the danger of too much of reading and too much of book knowledge also. Whenever the person becomes too much with the book knowledge and less with the practice, it is called case hardening. When the case hardening happens, the external crust will be dried and internally thing will be rotten and the grain will be waste. So not to have the case hardening, that means not to learning Buddhism for the sake of learning, but to use whatever the things you are learning is the pragmatic method. And for my understanding, it is individual. Each and everyone has their own combination, the balance, how much you must know and how much you put into practice. When you compare with Sri Lanka, Burma, and Thailand, like basic Buddhist countries, Sri Lanka is notorious. So much of learned people, knowledge is there, but no one is practicing. And they are teaching the meditation teachers also, because they think they know everything. But the people who practice are the one who really get the real taste of Dhamma, and they just laugh at them. They are just nuts. They are just case hardening. And no one can help. Even the Buddha can't help, because they are with such a crust and case hardening. So therefore one has to use this theoretical knowledge also in a pragmatic sense. And otherwise, if you have a good reputed learned teacher, you can write from the beginning, start without worrying about your personal theoretical knowledge. And this is being considered as the watering of the plants in the vegetable plot. In the chain cultivation, the farmer is really sowing the seed, broadcasting the seed synchronized with the oncoming rain. But even then, whenever the seeds fallen upon the ridges get deprived of water, the farmer has to give additional care about these seeds fallen upon the ridges, so he has to do some watering. The only reading and studying but not practicing is overwatering, and ultimately plant get affected because too much of water in the ground, ultimately root system will rot. And ultimately upper part of the plant also will rot, and therefore he won't consider it as a efficient farmer, so he must know how much water he has to apply when the plants are growing. So that is what known as Sutta Anuggahita, the theory knowledge, the book knowledge that you should have. And nowadays we are lucky, because when you open a website, when you go for the bookshops or sometimes the temple, so much of free distribution books are there, so much of websites are there. So therefore access to the Tipitaka, that basic canon, is very open now. And it is good, because the situation is not under anyone's authority. Any person can read, and therefore it has become a common issue. So meditators also get facilitated. Earlier the situation was difficult, because people has to by heart it. So therefore whoever know all the Tripitaka by heart are being highly respected, knowing as it's like a moving library like. But nowadays, putting a Tripitaka CD into your pocket, you become a Tripitaka dhari. You can be a walking library, because everything you can put into the pen drive or into a CD. But that does not make any kind of change into your liking and disliking, into your personality. Only what you imbibe and put into practice is what going to give the result. This, in order to get rid of the limitations of the theoretic knowledge, one has to facilitate this correct view with the third facility, that is Sakacca Anuggahita, that is the discussions. This is the most lively thing in this practice. And it is happening one-to-one relationship. The learned people and the amateurs and the younger one, beginners, everyone come together and start question-oriented kind of a discussion. And the dialogue can happen in the reciprocal way. Not one is preaching and others listening, but the audience also get the equal chance. The question and answers, Dhamma discussions are very important. And even if I am to go little in detail in technical aspects, in the meditation retreats, it has developed up to a level where the interviews are there. the particular individual, or how to call one-to-one interviews, and they are whenever you practice, you have to go there and report to the teacher what is the best of your sitting, and what is the best of your walking meditation, and what is the best of your day-to-day activities, and then teacher or instructor can come to know what is the direction, what are the directives has to give. So in this interviews are very, very precious. One has to really understand and talk into the point, short to the point, and directly relating one's experience with the object of meditation is a real science. So when I was in Burma, I used to go 3 times a week and with prepared my report. For about 18 months, I never get any connection with my teacher. It was so precious. He's asking short to the point, but I try my best. That does not indicate my meditation is bad, but my reporting was so poor. So he says that meditation is one thing, and communicating the same thing to the teacher is another thing. In that sense, he finds 4 kinds of meditators. Some people very good in meditation but can't report, and then the teacher is becoming helpless. Some people can meditate and report equally, so they are the early birds and go there and harvest the results very quickly. But some other people do not meditate, but they know how to write a fanciful, nice reports. And ultimately both of them are wasting their time. Some people do not meditate properly and do not go for interviews. We are not concerned about them. So the communication is very important, because this discussion usually indicate between the teacher and the student, or in the discussion among the members, but ultimately the discussion between the mind and the brain is the most important. How much we are in oneself, we are listening to each other. The early argument was that the brain is the base for the argumenting and rationalizing and deductive knowledge. Heart is the base for the emotions. So never the suggestion coming from the brain will be seconded by the heart. Never the suggestion coming from the heart will be seconded by the brain. Therefore, internal war, that is what the cause for frustration, the tension, the mental pressure. But we never know. We think it is coming from outside, or we attribute to others, and we think that person, this climate, this government, this policy is the one creating this tension like. But ultimately the moment you understand, it is the matter of internal communication. You have no sympathy to wait and see the conflict in the dialogue between the brain and the heart. But now in the neuroscientists and further going into the mapping the brain, they find even the 2 lobes in the brain, left and the right, has different functions. If I am correct, the right side is for the rationalizing, calculating, or scientific kind of. Left side is the more aesthetic, embracing, loving kindness and kind of thing. If you are not meditating, your left side is brand new, never used. So you are always fighting, always reasoning, always keep on fighting with. Ultimately, you end up with this kind of a frustrated life. I think about 10 to 15 years ago, there had been a kind of a group of scientists, psychologists and neuroscientists and all the kind of, had gone there and done a retreat under His Holiness Dalai Lama in the Dhammasala. And that Dalai Lama has presented 3 yogis telling they have done meditation very good. And what the scientists have done is, they have tested their brains live scan to see out of 3, 2 has the left side is working very nicely. They are very aesthetic, embracing, never making any friction. They can fit into any situation. But those who are not meditating, generally they find the right side is the one, very bright, left side is never made use. So this shifting from the right to the left is what we can say, according to that experiment. If we have drawn the proper criterion, is what the meditation is doing. And for their amazement, they have seen out of 3, 2 has already gone to the left side. Then they have showing these results. They have asked the Dalai Lama, what is the secret? He has told that this is the meditation. Then the Americans, they have asked the ways and means, and Dalai Lama has told it's very simple. And he was very enthusiastic and asked how. You have to meditate more than 10,000 hours. So simple. So all the Americans were taken back, because to prescribe 10,000 hours for an American is not possibility. So they thought this is completely impossible. Then Dalai Lama has told, you find it is impossible, but if you take the whole population of Lamas or Tibetans, he has given such a proportion is already above the level. Because daily their life is religious, they have to do either samatha meditation or vipassana meditation. So therefore, it is not an impossibility. The way you are running may be difficult. What they have done is, they have come to own country and they have tried for the machines, that means for the scanner to see the shifting from the right to left, how much one should meditate. They can trace, it seems, after 3 months of meditation, you can see slight shift starting. But that is also too much for to recommend to give a course. And then they have still reduced to make it lower, and the person is biased with the Buddhism and the faith and the correct view and the endowed with this moral restrainment and the theory knowledge, and he or she also giving the full support. And before the machine, that particular person can understand, for that particular person to understand how much the minimum time. They have seen 3 10-day retreats. Time the particular person can understand whether this investment is worthwhile. So this is how the changing from the right to left happens. But now that experiment is much advanced. So when you go and see the neuroplasticity and this live brain scan and kind of thing, you can understand how much they have pragmatically reduced into this scientific kind of research papers. So this dialogue between the left lobe of the brain and the right is kind of a thing we never think about. We always think about the dialogue and the discussion and the rapport with the second person. I would say this is the macro level, but the micro level is the internal transactions, either the brain and the heart or right lobe and the left lobe. So this is a refined thing. And only highly cultured people or highly trained people, those who are willing to do it, this internal changing can take place. This is rather a secret in evolution. We have been stopping that for 1,000 years. But if you wish to have accelerated evolution, go to the highest capacity of your brain, you have to develop insight, that is to look in rather than extrovert. Whenever you are opening the eye, mind run out. Whenever you are listening to sounds, mind is outwardly. When you are smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, so always yesterday or tomorrow, other places, other people, never inside. So when and where the mind is directed to insight, that's we call insight meditation, that is the point you can understand the internal or introvert kind of understanding we call direct touch or direct experience, or extrovert kind of understanding we call the worldly knowledge. They are completely two different spheres. But the present day education never think about this introvertness. Therefore, this dialogue between the extrovert knowledge and the introvert knowledge is black and white different. Because bad enough to say that science mentioned the mental culture is not scientific, therefore it is mystic, they cut off. They went completely outward. Now the science has come to a level, it is now thinking about mind science. When the mind science comes, they have to compensate this, the extrovert knowledge with the introvert. This is also kind of a dialogue, kind of a discussion. So we are training ourselves individually in our small scale by directly communicating with your spiritual teacher, communicating with the noble ones if you have, virtuous people, true people, and discussing. Whatever you have any question, any difficulty, any theoretical or practical, it must be put into the table and discussing. So this is the most vibrating thing as far as our individual is concerned. I became a monk thanks to these discussions. Otherwise, I was not at the beginning equipped with these virtues. Of course, I am a born Buddhist, so I got a ordinary level credit pass for the subject of Buddhism, but that's all. I have never put that into practice. But when discussing, and there I thank the Westerners, most of the circles I participated, often participated with the Westerners, so when they are questioning, the answers what they accept is a completely radical new thing for the Easterner like me. So I always happy to go there and just take part, but at that time, that I am talking about 79, 80, like, my English was so bad. So I was just listening. I am getting only 5 to 10% of the extracts. But even then, it was a real challenge for me to just an eye-opener like, and opening a window to see the outside. And I never expected that kind of thing in Buddhism. I expect that kind of thing in the scientific subjects that I was learning. But the challenge coming from the Buddhism is much, much, much dramatic. Because almost all the people I was exposed were well educated, but they know the disadvantage of this worldly knowledge. Instead, be mindful, and introvert kind of discussions are very important. On top of that only, with this, if you are endowed with this kind of restrainment regarding virtues, restrainment regarding the theory knowledge, and the discussions only, you, if at all, develop kind of a resolute faith to put into practice. Otherwise, whatever you do become very superficial. Once you armed with this, not I am telling that you are full-fledged virtuous and full-fledged with the theory knowledge and completely imbibed with the discussions. But after a certain extent, you can't do away with, you have to practice. You feel like go to a corner and sit and see, who am I? What is the present moment? What if I am keep the senses introvert? It's such an opening. It never feel like spiritual at the beginning. Never feel like religious at the beginning. It's just a quest. So only possible for the human, but if it is also not doing, how paralyzed is our mentality? So then only one can go and sit for 1 hour, 2 hours and listen to a talk attentively and focus your attention to in-breath and out-breath, or while in the walking, how to do keep the attention with the left leg and the right leg in the walking meditation. That kind of restrainment regarding the concentration become possible only once you armed with these basic 3 facilities. Basic 3 facilities are also one thing that you have to earn. No one can facilitate you with virtues. Restraint you can't do on behalf of you. That your theory knowledge is completely upon you. And your discussion and your exposure to this kind of a direct communication, it is up to you. You can facilitate it, but it is like you can take the horse to the water, but you can't ask the horse to drink water. It is up to the horse. Likewise, today, we are in such a world, this whole, the precious Dhamma is available. But those who have eyes can see. Those who have ears can hear. But never it will be a popular thing. That is for sure. That's always minority. Because this is not addressing for all the one, but only have those who have well-being, think about well-being of oneself, have a kind of a rational thinking, kind of wisdom, only can take care about this. For them only, sitting in one place for 15 to 20 minutes and taking this meditation of walking, despite all the multitask responsibilities you have, and to do things in your day-to-day life mindfully, becoming a challenge. Otherwise, mind is always find excuses. How can we find time to go to a meditation hall or a shrine room or a silent place and sit cross-legged for 15 to 20 minutes? You have 1001 reason not to do. And instead, if the teacher going to say, yes, that you are not trained for that, why don't you do some walking meditation? Where you can find the time? You don't have time. And whenever you ask that, why don't you start be mindful in day-to-day activity? How can we be mindful in the day-to-day? Because mind is so disturbed. So unless otherwise we introduce in the intensive method, we can't do it. So it is no use. So you are such a masters in fine reasons. For there is no use of pouring Dhamma into such a thing. Only we have to say, to come up to this resolute kind of faith, you must be endowed with these virtues. You must have a certain amount of theory knowledge, certain amount of exposure to the discussions, and then only this resolute faith happen. These people, they know this reasoning is just wastage of time. Some or the other we have to start. So then only this concentration practices or facilitating the concentration becoming the main issue. And sometimes, I don't know whether it is completely true or not, it says you have to be at least 40 years of age to understand this much. At the first 10 years, you are just playful. The second, you are just lying. Secondly, for 10 years, you are playful. 30 years is you are always thinking about the beautification of yourself, living on others' eyes. You are just running role models and you don't know what is happening, and then will hooked up with your spouse and then get into the marriage life. 30 to 40, you start running the mill. And by 40 is only first time you come to know your eyesight is becoming weaker. And the ears also not much good. And sometimes here and there you start to forget about something. And then only you start to know that all your dreams in the all younger age is not so beautiful. Not everything is rosy. Everything what is rosy has a danger of red. So, but even then, very difficult to say all the people passing 40s become religious. But to have some kind of maturity, the Buddha says 40 to 50 years known as Jnana Dasaka, that is the maturity card. When that maturity happens, that you have your own worldly experience. My teacher, Upandita, one day he has come to the USA and conducting a retreat with all his hardness. He has asked them that things are happening in the good begets good and bad begets bad. Good karma leads to good results and bad karma leads to bad results. So therefore, whatever you do, you have to take care responsible. but many found very difficult to absorb this idea. And he has, with all the difficulty he has mentioned, whether you live a happy life here or not, the next life is a part and parcel of this, and it is decided by this life, so you have to think about and believe about this rebirth. And that is also very difficult to sell, that idea also in America. And then he has mentioned the meditation, generosity, virtues, all the things are meritorial things. So therefore, whenever you do meritorial things, you will get a better chance, because you are doing good thing and you will get a good thing, and you will get a better existence in the future. So therefore, if you can't do in this very life, you have to accumulate good merit and all the kind of thing. So in a discussion, one person, American, has made a statement. He says, Bhante, for us to very difficult to believe this karma and karma results. Good beget good and bad beget bad. Very difficult to believe that reincarnation. But you are coming from the Asiatic countries, we believe you, but you says the maturity come by 40s. So if at all my merits are good enough for me to become a human in the next life, my only hope is, may I born at 40s. Because life after the 40s in America is such an unpredictable thing. So you have to understand how difficult to maintain virtuous life after the 40s. That does not indicate the bright cases start at a younger age. During the time of the Buddha, there were people starting at age 7 and they achieved great things. These are extraordinary cases, but the starting this samatha meditation or what kind of a meditation in the early age is such a appreciable thing, because earlier the better. There what you have to do is, you have to understand the meaning, at least the word meaning of mindfulness, because this concentration or facilitation with the facilities, giving the facility with the concentration, and the next one to come is the facilitating the insight. For my understanding, the proximate factor for this concentration and the insight is the mindfulness. The mindfulness is not the normal way of our life. Always, whenever I wish to introduce this mindfulness into the audience, I would like to compare it with yet another synonym, that is the diligence. Mindfulness is in Pali we call sati. The diligence is translated in from appamada, and diligence is somewhat common term, because the opposite of diligence is negligence. Negligence is very common in our life. So therefore, in order to get rid of negligence or develop mindfulness or develop diligence, one has to take special effort. If you keep unrestrained, naturally it goes to the negligence. So therefore, in a meditation retreat, what we try to do is introduction of this mindfulness or developing the diligence. In order to develop diligence, you have to have 3 strategies, that is to say, sitting meditation, walking meditation, and the day-to-day activities. In the sitting, what you do is, you rather close your eyes, not entertaining visual objects. Go to a silent place, not entertaining sounds. Don't go for places with the smells, so nose is at the normal. Don't talk, don't eat, and fix the body in such a way it can sit for long. You can look at the statue of the Buddha. When you sit and adjust your body, it will appear like just a pyramid or like an anthill, or it's well established. So let the body to maintain by itself. Now you focus the attention, total attention to the sitting posture. Make it comfortable, make it symmetrical, and just entertain the comfort. That is how you try to bring the attention here and now. It's the first and foremost way of introduction of the mindfulness. So once you introduce it, it's a matter of maintaining of this present moment in here and now. So if it is to continue, you must make sure, or you have to observe, that mind is not be daydreaming. It is not, must be fantasizing, thinking up and down, other places. And you must not be distracted with the sounds. Bodily pains must not be unbearable. Then only you can go for this, keeping the attention here and now. If that is the case, that is the first and foremost well-being, you are showing towards your body. When that happens, if the thoughts, pain and sounds are not much distracting, naturally, it is not a must, but naturally you may start to see the normal breathing. Then you can focus the attention to the natural breath, not with the forced breathing, just natural breathing. Then the mindfulness will be a little sharper, just to keep the in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath in your, as a focal point. And if you wish to go for fine refining and further refining, fine-tuning, you can still see what is the most touching point or rubbing point or prominent point or conspicuous point in this whole process of breathing. That is where the techniques, different techniques come into being. If you see the touching point at the end of the nostril, we call Anapanasati Bhavana. That is mindfulness on the in-breath and out-breath. Some people find that the lower part of your respiratory tract, that is the diaphragm movements, that is called the rising and falling of the abdomen. In between these two, whatever may be the place, if you can pinpoint one particular place, that is we call the one-pointedness, and keep the attention there, keep the track with the in-breath and out-breath, as long as possible. More and more you go there, that is the simplest way, most intensive way to introduce and experience kind of mindfulness. That is why we are putting up meditation centers, solitude places. Some people go to the forest. So this is the way you introduce the concentration or insight meditation. There you have to facilitate it. And if when and where you find difficult, and still if you have time, as an alternative, you can do walking meditation. In my personal experiences, most of our problems in the active life is sorted much easier in the walking meditation than sitting meditation. So therefore, without underestimating the walking meditation, if someone gives the equal time and equal weight to the walking meditation, he or she may find sitting also more pleasurable than earlier. So therefore, whenever you have walking meditation time, you keep the attention with the right leg or the left leg. You just try to at least keep the attention with the touch of the ground, with the right sole and the left sole. Eyes are open. You can hear the bird sounds and the ears are active. Intentional work is going on, but you are not going to go somewhere. You are just pacing up and down. While doing, if you can gain little bit of mindfulness, that is more durable than sitting. So when and where you compensate each other, then the momentum starts. Some people start with the concentration, some directly start with bare insight method. That is the fifth facility that the Buddha asked one to do, that is Vipassana Anugahita. When the Vipassana Anugahita happens, that you are bound to see things as they are. Whenever the Samatha Anugahita, concentration happens, you are developing one-pointedness. So both of them are bringing the attention to here and now, or introvert rather than the extrovert. But the minds which has been so trained, so gone wild and be in a rut, familiarized with the extrovert, not happy to be with its introvertedness. So you have to find ways and means to keep as long as possible this insight, the introvert attention, then only the mindfulness and the concentration going to develop without hindrance. So when such a kind of a facility or help going to happen, slowly, your correct view will be straightened and reinforced together with mindfulness and the concentration. You're bound to see more things as they are. So one can argue telling that isn't that we are observing things as they are presently. Of course, it is a kind of things as they are, that is in terms of the convention. But if you wish to see without your coloration of your personal likings and disliking, without a reaction, without assumptions, without your preconceived ideas, it is not a joke. You have to untrain your mind, decondition your mind to see things they are. That is how your original correct view will be refined further and further. When you go there, again, you have to reconsider how much I can readjust my virtues, how much I must learn and listen to facilitate this progress, how much I must consult with the learned people or virtuous people or true people to straighten my line, how much I must facilitate with the concentration. And likewise, they started a reciprocal kind of a trip, and then you are the first one, you are the one to first to understand this momentum. So when it is going there, of course, different methods are there to explain how the different concentration level and how the insight levels are coming. So this may be too detailed if I am going to take it now. So whatever may be, when these things are going to take the momentum and the acceleration, your basic correct view, known as Kammasakata Jnana Sammaditthi, that good begets good and the bad begets bad, will be further developed and go up to the Samatha Sammaditthi. That is to say, when and where you remove these transgressional kind of defilements, there is a kind of defilements obsessing yourself and not manifested yet, but internally you can feel. Whenever the transgressional defilements are going to manifest, others can see. You get caught up when you are killing, stealing and kind of. But there is yet another kind of defilements known as sense desire, sensuous desire, hatred, sloth and torpor, and bewildered mind, doubting mind. These things are happening. So you have to understand, once you taken the restrainment regarding this transgressional kind, the concentration is geared to take these 5 obsessions or nivaranas, take it under control. Once you remove them, you can see the immaterial part or immaterial kind of pleasure. So now you have, as if you have opened 2 eyes. The virtuous life is only person with 1 eye, and the virtues and the concentration development is opening both the eyes. Then you start to see the depth, 3Ds. So when and where that happens, you develop the ability to see through the convention and go into the absolutes. This, in the present day language, this is the easiest way to explain is Newtonian theory and the Einstein theory. At the Newtonian theory level, we went up to the moon and the Saturn and everything. But all of a sudden, the Einstein came and told that not only the gravity, there are 4 kinds of forces. Something, the energies never come under the gravitational the laws, so therefore more and more you go into the energy levels before becoming in particles, the Newtonian theory is not applicable. Still people go to the moon, but still they found there's a layer down there. Likewise, that seeing through the existing one and opening such a challenging new sphere in our brain, otherwise never being used. So when you go there, you understand how much time you are using to entertain your faculties like self-indulgence or sensuous pleasure, how much you are taking time to give immaterial pleasure, that kind of a introvert trip. Very easy at that time for you to understand because you have your first-hand experience. And more go there, you will find this extrovert thing is the historical one. It is the kind of attention, but not much wise. But whenever it comes introvert, that's a kind of a radical kind of application, radical reflection, and no end. You can go deep and deep, and ultimately you understand your liberation or your getting up with this tension is completely yourself. No one can save you, and no one can create problem for you. Everything is depending on your attitude towards this phenomena, but unless otherwise you have dealt with this transgressional kind of defilements and the obsessional kind, you will never accept it. So therefore no point of arguing it. But once you are taken for this experiment and restrainment, and if you are trying to be a success, then only you will understand the value of this insight meditation to go still deeper and to see these latent tendencies, which is generally won't appear like bad or defied like, but once you remove these two veils, you are invariably exposed to these latent tendencies. There only you will understand the genuine contribution of the Buddha. Before the appearance of the Buddha, there were some virtues and the restrainment regarding the virtues. There were some concentration and the achievement of the concentration. But no one thought it is possible to see these latent tendencies and to control it. But the Buddha, never happy with this, the superficial two kind of restrainment, the last one is the one he add to the human knowledge. So it is 2552 years old. But even then, for the last 50 years, again it revived. And now every scientist, every health people, every people concerned about the environmental pollution, they come back and refer to the Buddhist teaching because it is the source of everything. So therefore, if we believe we have a certain amount of correct view, don't let it be a case hardening or trusting. Instead, facilitate it as much as possible if you feel with the virtues or restrainment regarding virtues. And facilitate with this theory knowledge by listening, and facilitate it with the discussions and lively debates and concentration training and the insight training. Then only you can say you have done the best towards the well-being of oneself. So this is what I thought of sharing with you in with respect to this Anuggahita Sutta. And of course there are other details available. I hope that by stopping the talk at that level and asking for a open discussion, we can go further according to the questions and the remarks coming. So with that remark, I would like to sum up my talk. Thank you very much for listening. And as the Bhante advertised, now onward we will take time for a discussion, a Dhamma discussion. So if you have any related questions or any other related questions regarding your practices, what you feel like suitable for this moment and for this group, I cordially invite for questions and for remarks. What I wanted to present is, whenever you try to start this concentration training, you just start with a very big object like the whole sitting body, sitting posture. Because our mind is, according to the Buddhist presentation, it's a monkey mind. Jumping from one to the other, it's called bad monkey mind. So to bring it to a one-pointedness is not easy. So therefore what you have to do is, first introducing with the whole body. That means you sit comfortably and pay the attention to the comfort of your body. That means the within the skin. When you are observing that, if it is coming to that, that means no much of fantasizing and no daydreaming, no wandering, well and good. And there is no distraction of the sounds and the pains, well and good. That is also a very good starting point for the concentration. But sometimes mind become ready for that, ready to take challenges, and it says, now it's okay, what is the next? If that is the case, you can say, okay, when the body is calm and quiet and balanced, and what do you feel it? You can just ask on the mind, and if you feel the breath, then you can take the breath as the object of meditation, because then you can reduce the whole body attention to the upper part of your body, kind of focusing, or kind of one-pointedness is giving. So there you just see the breath, the whole upper part, and it is lower part is just taking the anchorage, and just wait, you can see the breath. And there also, this is a very second adjustment or second refinement, and upon that still the mind is ready, adventurous and go, then only you can say, try to see the most touching point, the most prominent point, still you are focusing. Your question is important, because if someone is find easy to tackle the whole body and come and stay at the breath level, that's a good hint. He is a samatha kind of a person. He is a person have the basic tendency of the concentration as is the vehicle. Such a people can't find the touching point. They can't find the discriminative difference between the in-breath and out-breath. But even then he's in the bus now. He has not missed the bus. But whenever the person have the special ability to go for inside meditation directly, they will be focusing more sharp, and they can see mind is ready to take yet another challenge, that they can see either tip of the right nostril, left nostril, on top of your lip, or in the throat, or in the bend, or in the chest, or in the belly. This is the most prominent point where the action is taking place. That open the window to see, if you are focusing to that particular point, what is the experience of in-breath versus out-breath. Unless otherwise you go to a particular point, that the subtlest comparison is not possible. But still he is a very qualified samatha yogi. But when the concentration increases, some people after they tend to find the touching point, and there he can go ahead. So likewise, starting from the gross, starting from the known, starting from the point you are, and then gradual refining. That is the beauty of teaching in the Buddhism. You never start with the most refined and difficult part. You start what is given, what is possible, what is gross. Therefore, any person can start, any person have a hope. But when you keep on practicing, the refinement, one-pointedness, and tiny details, the juice, the sap, slowly going to start. There's a demand that you have to repeat the question, so I can put into the mic. No, please let him come. Yes, please.
You mentioned that meditation of the mind should be with the point of contact. I want whether it's the point of contact or the password.
So this is for the purpose of recording. Yeah, the question is, in the set of instructions, he has heard that as far as the purification of the mind is concerned, should one directly go into the touch of the breath to start the purification of the mind, or just observing the general breath is enough. So my answer is already recorded. So whenever you go for the gradual development, you can either stop at the body level or the breath level or the touching point level.
Why is it important that you develop and maintain presence of mind?
That means you have to understand the disadvantage of the absence of mind.
My question is, all these efforts to maintain my mind at present, why do you do that? Because in my view,
So it's the same literal way you can ask you are asking what are the advantages of being the present moment and putting the mind in the present moment. So you can put the same thing, what are the disadvantages of not being in the present. I am putting yet another question for the discussion. The not being in the presence, we can put it as a synonym, negligence. And the being in the present moment is known as diligence. But normal rational mind fail to understand the two facets of the negligence. One thing is, you are negligent to do what you should do. The second negligence is, you are negligent not to do what you should not do. So that part is completely forgotten in the culture, forgotten in the civilization. We are very happy to fulfill duties, to do the generosity and all the kind of thing. But you must understand there are a lot of do's and don'ts in any culture. But how much we are diligent not to do bad things. That is the part we have been oversee and the camouflaged, and we fail to see. So ultimately, whatever the good thing happen, we say we are ending up with the disappointment. Why? Because we have not shed the proper light not to do what you should not do. That is what the precepts are. That is what the virtues are. So in the general world, no one will come and ask you to impose precepts. But the Buddha says, if you are really thinking about your well-being in the future and kind of thing, why don't you take an initiative to impose the precepts? For that you have to say, the killing is bad. Because you are not happy to be killed by someone while you are walking in the street. If it is so, definitely you will go for human rights. But when you are killing an animal, do you give a chance to that animal and ask whether are you happy to be my killing, or will you be voluntarily presenting yourself? We are killing because just simply they are dumb. They can't talk. And we call this world is human world. It's a filthy language. If you ask a cockroach will say this is a cockroach world. And we being the people overpowering everything, we say this is human way. So we have the willpower, we have this and that to kill this and that one. But I think we have to give a fair chance. If it is so, you have to ask, if someone is going to kill you, will you give the consent? So these are the things you should not do, but how much you are diligent or negligent to that kind of thing. You will not be happy to misappropriate your properties in your negligence. Equally, if you are going to misappropriate someone else, and if you are looking the problem from other man's shoe, exactly the same. And the sexual misconduct, you think it is the, I call the youth, or the, I don't know, Sellakaragama. I don't know how to put it into English. It is the playboy. Do as much as possible as far as you are not get caught up. But you don't know how much pain you are creating to the other side. And if it is happened to you, only you understand it. So likewise, these things are things not to do. But how much we are diligent towards them. Effectively, with willful application, there we have a lot of weaknesses. So whenever you come into the term, come in terms with the diligence, it is not doing dutiful things, but not doing bad things is the most important part. I would say that is the start of your spiritual life. Doing all the good things is, I would say, if it is someone is doing only good thing, I would say it's an escapism. Not really looking at the problem. Whenever you start to see the not to do bad things, as the Socrates says, first do no harm. That is the humanness comes into being. That is the diligence come into being. Otherwise, this world have no any ruling. It's chaotic. But each and everyone is concerned about their own duties, not to do what you should not do, to do what you should do, then the self-governing happens. But we are not going to control the world or kind of thing, but we try how much are we responsible. So without this kind of a spiritual effort or purification of the mind, we never address to this part of our life. So therefore it is the good open question, good thing to debate. Yeah.
Now you talked about the importance of being present and mindful in our daily lives. The question is, when you are seated meditation, the breath tends to become like an object that you focus on. When you are walking, the feet sensations become an object. And when you are doing a day-to-day activity, what is mindfulness? Like, do you focus? I tend to feel like when I'm mindful, it's like the body that you're aware of. But can you just talk a little bit about it in the day-to-day activity?
Is the question recorded or should I repeat it? So I mentioned that if you wish to incorporate mindfulness into your day-to-day life, there are three methods: the intensive method, the sitting, semi-intensive method, walking, and the extensive method in the day-to-day. Her question is, in the sitting, she is sure where to focus. That is the in-breath and out-breath, or rising and falling, that is clear. So when and where get a chance, focusing. And the second part is, whenever walking happens, she has grasped that the touch of the ground or step. And the question is, what is the focal point when you are doing the day-to-day activities? Short answer is your intention. Whatever the day-to-day activities you are doing with the intention, that intentional action is what you are focusing. When you are walking, you walk. When you are washing your dishes, washing. When you are drinking, eating, bathing, whatever the intention. But in the sitting, it is purposefully, you are not inviting any intention. The breath can happen in the voluntary and involuntary muscles with or without intention. So there's a great chance, even though there are no intentions, you can have something to be attentive. And then it can go into very deep layers. That is we call intensive method. But in the walking meditation, the intention is there, the left and the right leg, but there is not serving any purpose. It is for the sake of meditation. But in the day-to-day, you have to fulfill a task within this time period. So that very task is your intention. That is what your focal point. So it is quickly changing. So it is like you are changing the spotlight as the actors are moving in the stage. As and when the actors are moving, if you can still move the searchlight and to highlight one particular one, likewise in our day-to-day life, there are some intentional works that what we do. But meanwhile, there are something happening to us, and then we do not know what to focus upon. We are focusing on what is happening or what we do. So theoretical answer is, you focus attention with what you do. But if you are keen in mindfulness, while you are observing and keeping the track with what you do, the mind becomes so sharp, you can be aware of what is happening too. That is a byproduct, additional thing, but don't put that as the priority. Then the meditation becomes little haphazard. Always you must understand your focal attention is with what you do. But whenever what is happening also come under the light of mindfulness, you take it as a special credit. But your focal point always must be with the intention or what you do.
Intention and the volitional thoughts that take place, are they
Synonyms.
okay?
They are synonyms. Or you can say the will.
Because sometimes you might intend to do something, but then other thoughts, random thoughts will come in. So is it focusing on those thoughts also, or just being aware of?
So that means that you are not observing something physical, you are observing something mental. Still you have not boiled down to something. The mind is giddiness, it is that bewildered, not much focused upon. You know, as much as that situation is there, you can't start any action. Everything is now at the volatile level. So that is why it says that life is something happening to us while we are busy planning. Never we live. Not a single moment. Some people live 100 years, but they never live in the present moment. It is something happening while you are very busy planning. Everything happening is a nonsense, because we are planning. Ultimately life was gone, 102 years or maybe you are old and everything gone, and now the person come and knock the door, hey, get up, ready, go. Then only you look back and see how everything burnt. The Buddha asks you to rehearse the death, take it before, and observe as early as possible. You are definitely bound to die. So therefore, are you ready? Are you living or you are trying to live? Are you living or you are living on others' eyes? Or you are in a drama, or you are in a dream. So this awakening is a threatening thing for the people with weak psychologies and weak precepts. They don't like this kind of bold presentation. But you must be virtually or physically and mentally healthy. Then only such a person can take this as a challenge and put into practice.
Like just asking is a skill that you want to find out what it is. Like we look for the behind the and that's what we want to do. We want to ask the question. To be a spiritual person, you need to start from the multitasking. So really can't do that.
So you have to ask the question, you have to put that we are using we or you are saying the question I. You are phrasing the question with the term we or I. Then I would invite you to rephrase the question.
She's agreeing with me, so I can say this.
Pardon me?
She's agreeing with me, so...
No, I mean that I will ask her separately her question. Now I am asking you, phrase your question with the term, singular term, I. You says, we like multitasking. Do you like?
That's part of my job.
So that, do you like it?
I am used to it.
No, you are avoiding. You are avoiding. I am asking. People can suggest that is the condition. I am asking, do you like this multitasking? Personally, with your heart?
I think in my working life, it is yes.
That if it is so, that is your baby. You have to take care. But it is, no one is pressing you. You can say, he is pressing, it is up to me. So you need the simple life, high thinking, or multitask life with the full tension. People can suggest, but soon you second it, you take the whole burden into you. But keep it in suspension. Don't take that decision, suspend that decision. The world is pressing, but I know this is burning the candle from both the ends. Am I going to appreciate it? Am I mad? Am I so conditioned by the constitution of the country? Or this agenda of these mad people? No. That no one can press you. That's your basic human right, that due to the unavoidability, you are succumbed to the situation, that is, everyone has to sympathize. But soon you're going to say, due to that, I like multitasking, I have to say sorry. No, rephrase the question daily. Rephrase the question daily, you will understand how our mind is so depending on this conditioning. Now we have no creative thinking. We don't know what is the well-being of us. Leave us, me. So if I am not thinking about my well-being, who the hell can do it for me? You think the government? Or neighbor? No. So that is why the Buddha says, mind your business. The mindfulness is minding your business. Yes. That is why that, but my presentation is, people can suggest, but your view is, for me, is a completely independent. Multitask is going to give the advantages simply economically, politically and socially. You analyze at any ways whether it can do any other ways. But political, social and economical thing is always with the sense pleasure. It is related with this matter. It is related with the sensuous pleasure. But if you are concentrating, everything is sensuous, of course, that is the only way out. But the spiritual quest, to who am I? What is the experience of the present moment? Will never raised by economists. Will never raised by any politician, any social person. But can we escape from that? Over there, of course, we are not coming from the princely families. We have to earn our bread. So therefore, we have to accept what the world is telling. But are we, or am I, to blindfoldly sign there what they are suggesting? Seconding what they are going to do? Or are we going to do thinking in a creative way, even though it is there? Isn't there any kind of a window, any kind of a way out? So that is why the Buddha says, I am suggesting, but I am not imposing you, and keep it on the table. If you wish, you can try put into practice and see. And if you want, whenever you develop the mindfulness, the multitask person who has done the multitask business will be more advantageous to learn mindfulness also in a very efficient way.
About multitasking, when you say, isn't it that you do one task at time of mindful and then you switch to the next task mindful, and even though we call it multitasking, the task has never end, it's partially finished, and you go to the next task, it's partially finished. But if you look at the
that's the finding of research actually, multitasking. Why do we think 5 things in 5 minutes, please? You do first thing and then go to the next one, and then otherwise you take all 5 at the same time, you won't finish in time.
No, this is one constructive good thing. Other one is the selection of the priority. Selection of the priority give a completely new way. So you have to be transparent, you have to be democratic, you have to learn the division of labor. If you are thinking you are multitasking, you will never think about make yourself transparent. You never ask the democratic ideas. You never share with the others. You take the whole burden, and you are the worst person, most disqualified person to do it, ultimately mess up everything. Either you can do piecemeal work, one by one at a time, and that done well finished. But we can't do it. It is theoretically, yes. But what happens is, you get the interconnections, whereby you select the priority. And share with all the others. To select the priority, that clear comprehension. The clear comprehension, the mindfulness is the proximate factor for the clear comprehension. Then you will not beating at the bush. You will directly hit the target, and then the others can do. So therefore, you are accomplishing your task, but you will be a good manager, good leader, and giving a good role model for the others also. Otherwise, by taking the multitask as a burden into your mind, you become disqualified to tasks. And that is how they end up with this, how do you call, in the Australian they call stress leave. Special kind of leave. They give the stress leave because they know this, you are at the borderline level, you are about to become schizophrenic, you give the stress leave. And there's one building, there are 13 stories, and one story is completely given for relaxation. Whenever you have that, you can go there and relax. And one lady is there for reflexology, one person for the massaging and spa and everything available. One of the 13 stories they have given for them, because it is worthwhile, otherwise people are breaking down. So therefore multitasking is a suggestion only. It's a suggestion only, but we are not slave to second it blindfoldly. That is what I am telling, the initiative, the creativity. And when I was conducting a retreat, of course, in Sydney, and there was one girl, and she has double doctors, two PhDs. And I asked her what she's doing. She told she's doing counseling. I mean, it's a kind of, then I told, don't get offended that I question. I heard that all the people counseling ending up with the madness. She was telling one day, she says, in our company there are 6 such counselors. At the end of the day, leaving me, all the 5 are going for their own counseling. She is the only one not going for counseling, and everyone admiring. After taking so much of problem, how to manage? She says, I try to be mindful. So this is the we are running this game. Externally it appears very glossy and very nice, but internally it is rotten. No, we can't run. Simply we can't run in this game. And it is exhausting. So therefore, my way is, don't expect this kind of, the question for this kind of thing from the institutions. You have to find your own individual question, answer. It is not selfishness, because institute is completely running for this existence. It can't think about the individual's welfare unless otherwise economic and social and political gains. But the spirituality is completely out, therefore, but they can't prevent us from doing this kind of thing. So therefore we have to make use it and take care about yourself, in the well-being of yourself, as well as not to destroy the environment. Simply you can say, be mindful and mind your own business. Yes.
I have a question regarding education, because you mentioned, and also going part in multitasking part. You explained 3 methods of meditation, where you sit and meditate, or you walk, or you meditate in things that you do daily. So if you're trying to meditate in the third way, where you try to meditate while you're doing meditation, would that be considered like you put it mind-to-mind, where you jump from one thing to the other? Because say, for example, if you're driving a car, and then you're already in that room, you know you're driving. So that can be considered meditation.
Yeah.
But then that could only last for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you could be getting down to be walking, that's another part, but it's different action.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that be considered jumping around or mind-to-mind, that is what you said?
But we know where the monkey is jumping. We know where the monkey is jumping. But the monkey mind, the mad monkey, do not know, no recipe, no agenda. But here you can trace it. I mean, you have the account balance. This much I was mindful, 5 minutes, and then I was so much of not mindful, and again 5 minutes, and over there different intentions. But intention never mind. But if you can focus the spotlight wherever it goes, that is the only way out. Otherwise we can't go and sit for hours in our such a pressured life. So when I was just introduced this mindfulness, I was in the 2nd year in my university, and I am telling, I have no any precepts. I have no any understanding about Buddhism other than this, my credit pass in the 10th grade. And we thought Buddhism is historical. We are science, we are doing science subjects. How? What is the Buddhism? Buddhism is for the art people and it is the low level. And I never thought about discussions, but one of the Australian monk told, be mindful. Then I look at him and told, you are recommending me to be mindful. I have no virtues, I have no any Buddhist knowledge. Then he told, never mind, you can do. So 3 days argument went on. And later, he told, that is why you bloody buggers are telling that coming from the Dhammajiva, spreading the Buddhism to the whole world, but you don't know what is the Buddhism is. Then of course I have a credit pass in the Buddhism, but I never taught mindfulness. Mindfulness never mentioned. I have gone to the Dhamma, I have gone to the masters, no one. So that's the argument. Therefore I told, don't discard me, tell me. What he asked me to do, brush my teeth. Whenever you are doing, brush my teeth, it's mindfulness because you do it by yourself and you can control it. You just as well be mindful, that's all. So 2-3 days time, I got the point. Then I told, that is very simple. He told, that is what I am telling. Then he asked me to just, we are walking in the street, be mindful. And many points he suggested me. So likewise you have to have some tags. That these tags, as you mentioned driving, and you have to look at the windscreen. If you are looking here and there, not only you, the people also in danger. And whatever you do by yourself, and you can control yourself, small things, one thing at a time like day, and repeat it again and again. When it is happening, the momentum comes. Ultimately only you go to the multitask kind of thing, or complicated thing kind of thing, socialized kind of thing, and gradual training, and then you feel like sometimes, what will happen if I close my eyes, take the full time for mindfulness kind, you feel like put into practice. So it is, you can't escape by telling you are in a busy world. This mindfulness answer, you have no excuses. You can, some or the other, you can find way to introduce it. So in day-to-day activities, as we are talking, I will share with you, if you wish to incorporate mindfulness in the day-to-day activities, SMS, slowly, mindfully, silently. Whenever you wish to be mindful, when you are brushing, do little slowly than the normal day, then it becomes something conscious. Why I am doing little slowly? Because I wish to equally be mindful. And second thing is, whenever you are brushing, listen to your own sounds. When you are closing the door, listen to your own sounds. When you are washing your dishes, listen to your own sounds. If you are unmindful, so much of rattling noises. If you do mindfully, these noises naturally stopping, and you become naturally introvert. There only you can understand how much we are emitting unwanted noises and sounds to the environment, unless otherwise we are mindful. So these things are giving a very effective organic relationship to the present moment. And the most important thing is, soon you start to get the good results of your day-to-day SMS, mindfulness, you are bound to see other people mindful in the vicinity. Otherwise you will never understand who is mindful, who is not. Once you come up to a certain level, looking at all the people, by few seconds time you can say, he or she is try to as well to be mindful. Then easy to select good friends, find good noble people. So how much I am acting in front of the people? How much we try to live up to others' likings and disliking. And for that, how much we are spending time and money. And ultimately what we get back? Nothing. Just vanity. So therefore, if you sharing with a group of things, we can be, each one of us will be a mirror for us. So how much we do for the utility value, how much we do for the luxuries. How much we do for the usage, how much we do to satisfy the others. The others are completely uncontrolled set of observance. And we don't get the feedback, but ever we are performing. No end. And ultimately, we may doing completely wrong, but we don't get the feedback. But the mindfulness is kind of a mirror. You get the reflection back. And you understand at that time you became emotional, you became homely, and you became the regimentation, and all the kind of thing happened completely by the remote controllers. Who is using the remote controller? Who is setting your agenda? From morning to the evening, see how much time you are seeing, how much time you are hearing, how much time you are smelling, touching. No agenda. And tomorrow morning also we are running out home, dealing with so much of things to accomplish. But when you come back home and putting your head to the pillow, utter disappointments. And next day morning again you run with so much of hopes. But if you see, we call thin slicing of the time, you see each and every time we are doing motivated by someone else. It's controlled by someone. Who is pressing the button? Where is the remote controller? I don't think that we are going to get the remote control into our hand, but at least we know we are just puppets. Someone is moving the threads. Drama is not at the stage level, it is happening in up there. So when the mindfulness comes, you are bound to see cause and effect relationship. But I would say that at the younger age, very, very difficult. When you become old only, that game becomes little prominent, but you can't avoid other than looking at it. Because most of your hopes are in vain. So therefore you have to ask yourself, what is happening? All appointments are leading to disappointments. So then you have to think about the method. But at the younger age, you will say it is a mistake of your fathers, mothers and the teachers. I will not do that. I will be really hit the target like you go. So, but the Buddha present he says earlier the better. If you can start at the early, so much of you can save your wastages. I started at 26 and I took my decision to become a monk at 36, and this is the best of my time. I did 1001 mistakes. Each and everyone became my teacher. Before that I was cursing my mistakes. I thought that I must be a perfect, not doing mistakes. But once the mindfulness comes, I look at my mistakes from the beginning to the middle and the end. So you won't believe, therefore I can't find anyone's mistake now. Because I can't see any mistake others doing that which I have not done myself. It become a mistake because I have done it. But when I am doing, I am not punishing myself. But when I am punishing others, how unfair we are. So therefore you mind only business. People doing mistakes, never mind. And if you have a chance, you discuss with them and say, this is not you, this is the rut. This is the way it happens. So don't discourage yourself. There's a hope. Otherwise what you do is you are sleeping with all the mistakes. Overnight you are with the nightmares as teaching, eating your teeth and all the kind of things. But you start love yourself, accept your mistakes whenever the mindfulness comes into you. But I know that is a high grade of mindfulness. Early part you won't get that much of quick tangible results. You are just in a teledrama. From morning to evening, you have nothing to look at the television. You see, wherever you go, you are in a drama. You are sometimes double action, sometimes single action, sometimes many masks, sometimes single mask. So wherever you can't escape it. But now you know. You know you are in a drama, or you know you are in a dream. And that is the biggest. And read in these days says, if you can awaken into the dream, you get all the extrasensory perceptions. So it becomes like a lucid dream. You know, and you know it is you are acting. You know you are overdoing it. But mindfulness, everything recorded. So you can put the action replay, slow motion, you can see the clip. And then you can understand why others are doing these utter foolish things. Because you are an utter fool. And then you can excuse others. So they don't know much of tension, no much of friction, and sympathy develops. And start with the sympathy to oneself. And that is the biggest of the loving kindness.
In terms of when you're mindful, you said that when you start seeing, the teledrama and what your character and all that, how do you not get disappointed? Because then the mindfulness goes, because then again it's an expectation. So how do you develop that, like what you said, that equanimity of being able to...
Equanimity is the utmost. At the beginning, you understand it is not what you are doing intentionally, it is something happening. Worrying is just adding the weight. By sympathizing, no one complains you. Sympathizing your mistakes, no one will come and say, how can you sympathize your mistakes? No one will come. But instead, what we do is, we take a knife and do harakiri. Cut yourself and tell him we are moralists. We are torturing ourselves because our moral. That is not moralist. Morality is see things as they are, and not to harm others is the morality. So there you can understand everyone in the same boat. So why should I keep myself on the pedestal, whitewashing all the kind? No use. You can get down, be on the ground. And usually that day, some people say it is as a life become a teledrama. Otherwise you can understand you are a inmate prisoner painting your own prison. This is what we do all the time. We are very proud of our prison. We are whitewashing it and brush, all the things, our fittings are brushed, everything are polished and we are living in a big prison. That is what we are living. Ultimately you understand that the main thing is to escape from that, not to be proud of that. That we are putting advertisement telling we are in such a big prison. That the prison in the sense in the ignorance. Okay, now Bhante gave us only up to 9 o'clock. Now 9:50.
Sorry, good practice.
So that is why now for the practicing I won't recommend now, because we have sit here for 2 hours. Though if you are going to sit, the sitting will be very sour in taste.
You got the technique, you can practice at home.
So that I had no much of a chance here to discuss about the techniques. I was just incorporated that into the talk. But there are some talks that I have given in detail and has been printed and published in the e-books. So if you have access to the vipassana.com, and they are under the name of Dhammajiva, there are 3 books. And in this life itself is a book that have a series of talks, how to do walking meditation, how to sitting. This is the book, and at the end of it, there is an appendix. It says that sitting meditation, walking meditation and day-to-day activities. And while the talks are going on, there is a chunk of information regarding walking meditation. So this will be somewhat helpful. And in addition to that, there are blog sites for Sinhalese Dhamma talks as well as for the English Dhamma talks. And I can't remember exactly the name for that. So I'll leave it to the Bhante. And you can get a number of suttas has been discussed in Sinhala and the English. And please pass that book also. Yeah. This book, published in Sri Lanka, done by a Jewish monk, German, and he has written a very nice essay on power of mindfulness. And I have never seen such a big one, such a good one. And this is available in PDF form. This is for the general reading. If you go to the website of the Buddhist Publication Society, number of other books, but I recommend this one, the best to get the non-religious kind of kind of a technical introduction on the subject of mindfulness. And as far as the walking meditation is concerned, if you are familiar with that Bodhinyana magazine by the big Achan Brahm from the Perth, there's one Achan Jnana Dhammo. He has published volume 3, 2002, Walking Meditation in the Thai Forest Tradition. It's a very nice essay. It's dealing about all the details. So this has been now translated into Sinhala also. So these things will be good reading materials for you to get technical information for individual practice.